and this is Mr. DiGigio.
It's a hard one.
Hello and welcome to another segment of Tea with Teachers. I'm Sarah Blishagi and I'm here with Mr. DiGigio. He's a computer science teacher at Oxbridge Academy. So Mr. DiGigio, how would your best friends describe you?
I would hope that my best friends describe me as someone who's passionate about things that matter. Being a teacher, the things that motivate you, you'd hope are making sure that you see positive change in the world, making a better future. And I try to carry that into my personal life, which is my personal issues, things that I care about, staying up to date with what's going on around the local area, what's going on in the United States, what's going on in the world. Just hopefully someone that cares at the end of the day.
How would you describe yourself when you were in high school? Did you party at all?
Oh, I was a completely different person in high school. I was very similar to the kind of kids that I teach now, and so for me in high school, it was all about doing well in school. And that was partially because of my background. My parents didn't go to college, and so for them, it was just the most important thing in the world that we had access to a good education. And so most of the time I spent was studying, focusing on school. My parents were very involved with making sure that we were sort of in touch with other cultures and experiencing new things and just growing our minds. So when I wasn't doing things like that, I was probably playing video games for hours and hours on end. So yeah, so it was either a lot of schoolwork or video games. But yeah.
To what piece of technology would you write a love letter to?
That's a great question. It would be like a love-hate letter, because I feel like for most of my technology, this is the ironic part because I'm a computer science teacher, but I think technology is something that we have a love-hate relationship with. I'd say that the technology that I like the most, that has the least negative impact, I guess, would be my video games. Yeah, so maybe my PlayStation 4 or something like that. My phone, on the other hand, every time it beeps, I'm just like, oh, I wonder what that's going to be, kind of thing. I think most people can relate to that.
Have you continued playing video games?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Playing video games is like a lifelong habit. And it's not a bad thing. I think video games help you sort of build creativity and build empathy. I mean, empathy is this idea that we can relate to other people and other experiences. And when your research shows that when you read a book that's fiction, you're putting yourself in someone else's shoes. You're seeing the world through a perspective that you've never seen before. And I think video games do that too. Just allowing you to sort of exit outside of what the reality is and put yourself in other people's shoes and experience new worlds. It's fun. I love video games.
Have you played the game Fortnite?
I have not played Fortnite, although it's a craze everywhere. If you're not playing Fortnite, you're watching videos of other people playing Fortnite. I think video games are great. I just think like anything else in life, it needs to be balanced. And I wish I can go back to past the younger version that you asked me to describe before and say, just play less video games, push yourself to make more friends or do things like that. But I think with a healthy amount, video games are not necessarily bad for people.
What are you really good at, but are kind of embarrassed that you're good at?
That's a great question. What am I really good at that I'm embarrassed that I'm good at? I'm hesitating. I like to make sound effects, like we talked about before, so weird voices and that kind of stuff, which is weirdly embarrassing, like we talked about before, but some of them are really good. My sister's you should be a voice actor for cartoons, and I'm yeah,
Could you do one of those?
Oh God. The voice that I have is the one voice that I'm good at is kind of it's really deep and kind of scary. So I don't know.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I love your voice, so it's okay.
Okay, so I think it will be an evil villain voice, but it'll be hello, my name is Mr. DiGigio.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know now. This is gonna be seen by everyone. But
it's cool. Don't worry. Share one thing that you didn't understand about the world when you were a kid.
That's definitely a big question. I like it a lot. I guess I'm just going with my gut reactions to these questions. So I think when I was younger, everything about my life felt like a consequence. So it's I was born here, and because I was born here, my life's like this. And these are my parents, and because these are my parents, my life's like this. And I think growing up, I'm starting to understand, because I'm not that old, I'm turning 30 in a month, but I'm starting to understand that like we have a capacity to sort of build the life that we want, and no one can turn their life around 180 degrees like immediately, but just realizing your own potential to like write your own story and to be the author of your own journey. And for me that's important, because I want to make sure that these are things I want, and like I have the power to have them, and I have the ability to do that. And hopefully we're empowering everyone at Oxbridge to feel like they can, when they turn 18, go out into the world and get the things that they want to get, and not monetary or like items, but sort of like build the life that they want for themselves and feel like they have the capability to do that. Yeah.
What obstacles did you overcome in your life that you think made you who you are today?
Oh, this is a loaded question. There were like major life experiences that I had. I am the advisor of Saga, which is a Sexuality and Gender Alliance, and so a big moment in my life was in my early college times was like coming to terms with my own sexuality as being gay. Even it took me a couple of years at Oxbridge to be able to like say out loud, because I was afraid of like what parents would think and what other teachers would think and what the community would think. Obviously it went great, and like Oxbridge is a loving place and a great place, but I think that was a moment that was very defining in my life. Just like becoming comfortable with who you are and loving yourself, because like no one else is gonna do it.
Yeah.
And even if even with unconditional love of your family, at the end of the day, like you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you need to be proud of who you are. So that was for me important.
That's really interesting. I'm Sarah Bulasagi, and this is Mr. DiGigio.
It's a hard one.
This is Mr. DiGigio, and we are signing out. Yay. And we are done.
There we go.
Very good.
I can talk less about like my experience as a kid, but like I got bullied a lot, and like like I was one of the nerds, and like I had to deal with a lot growing up in like coming to who I was and being confident and happy and proud. And I think a lot of kids are experiencing that, but there's always this kind of like taboo to talk about it.
Yeah.
A lot of the times kids aren't happy, and so like me personally, like I'm like, it might be a depressing story, but at the end of the day, like kids need to hear that it gets better. Right?
Yeah.
And